So I found this random pen tester in the wild just because I talked to a random guy at the bar,
Yeah.
because I was waiting for a flight.
Yeah.
So you just never know where it's going to lead.
Yeah. I'm gonna I'm gonna add on to that story. When I was in Peru, I was getting dinner by myself, and then the people next to me, a guy and a girl, they were speaking English. So I started chatting with them, and yeah, he was a red team operator. And like, well, how wild is that? And some random country that I meet someone who does something similar to what I do. It's crazy,
Yeah, that
and
is crazy. That's really cool.
that's something that you just never you never get unless you get out of your comfort zone. You'll never find that, and like those moments are awesome. And I still have his number, and I'll still talk to him once in a while.
I'm really glad you brought this up because I feel like that is one of the big challenges for people in our field. I mean, when I was my first job, I was 16, 17 years old, working in a restaurant, and I was terrified to talk to customers. Like I was just terrified. But I had to break out of my shell because I wanted a paycheck. But so that was my motivation there to be more of a outspoken individual. Let's go ahead and move to our final question. Do you have any additional cybersecurity hot takes or hidden wisdom you'd like to share?
I think I'll consider this a hot take because I think even within our team, there's people that like it and people that don't like it, and that's AI. I love AI. I think it's awesome. I think it's the future. It's great. Is it going to cause bad stuff? Of course, everything does. But I am absolutely looking forward to seeing what comes next with it. I think this is just the beginning, and I think it's really huge. So I know that there's plenty of people that think it's overrated and they think it's not anything special. So that's my hot take.
I would say that's a hot take. I mean, it's definitely one of the most talked about things right now because last week I was at AWS Reinforce, and that was like one of the big talking things at that conference was AI. And I actually made a video and put on YouTube talking about AI a lot because that's what the focal point of that conference was. And yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely a huge thing, and there are people that are kind of like sweeping it under the rug. I don't think it's a fad. I don't think it's a fad at all. It's not going away. I think if you are purposely ignoring it, you are setting yourself up for failure because I think you have to be able to understand how to use AI, especially like ChatGPT and what do they call large language models, generative AI. If you're not using that, I feel like you're at an incredible disadvantage. I use ChatGPT for almost everything, and I can do everything so much faster, and it helps me out so much. Sometimes if I have a question about something, I will ask ChatGPT before I even Google it. That's how much I use ChatGPT. I use it almost like Google because it reaches out to Google. Oh, I don't know if it uses Google, but it has a search engine built in, and it can answer questions pretty accurately. You got to fact check things that are like super important, but for general information, I think it's pretty good technology. It's definitely got a lot of security risks going forward because a thing I found out about ChatGPT now, it actually remembers its conversations that it had with you in the past. So it used to be like it would forget what you told it, 5 messages ago, but now it will remember conversations it had with you a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and it's crazy. I found that out on accident because I accidentally typed something in and I didn't give it all the information. And then I was like, how do you know that? And it's like, oh, I know that. I literally asked, how do you know that about me? It's like, oh, that's because you told me in a different conversation. I was like mind blown. I was like, this is great because now I don't have to type a paragraph every time to give you the background information. You already have that information about me. I use ChatGPT to help me structure this podcast, for example, and I don't even I'm not even kidding. Last night I asked ChatGPT, I was like, hey, what do you know on my podcast? And it just spit out all the details about my podcast. I was like, great. I don't have to explain anything to you. I'm like, what do you think about this? Because I run by so many ideas with ChatGPT. I'm like, hey, do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a good strategy? What's the pros and cons of this approach to this in my podcast? And I would be lost without it. I really love AI, and I really do think if you're ignoring it, then you're going to get left behind in this competitive field.
Yeah, and there is some companies that are marketing it, and yeah, it's like kind of using it, kind of not. I understand like where people come from that say that there's parts of it that are overrated. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I think we should look at this as a big positive, and then figure out how we can build on top of it. I really want to see what this new generation of tools and kind of ideas that come through with AI as far as pen testing goes. Like, I'm actually really excited, and that's something that, you know, I want to spend time on, is just doing research on AI just to see how it can help with pen testing. You know, maybe, you know, I could create some kind of tool, you know, that would help, because I feel like there are definitely opportunities there, you know, that people haven't found yet, or at least that aren't public yet, I should say. But yeah, I also use it every day. It's my Google 2.0. Yeah, just be careful. It does get stuff wrong. I asked it a subnetting question because I forgot how to do that, and it got the subnetting wrong. I'm like, I know that's not the right answer. So I asked it. I'm like, are you sure that's it? It's like, oh, actually, you're right. I'm like, why didn't you just get it right the first time? But that's the danger. Right now, it's not perfect. It's probably never going to be perfect. It's going to get really good. It'll never be perfect, though, probably. Yeah, make sure that you just don't trust it 100%. It's not going to give you like 100% accuracy, or even like 100% secure code. Keep that in mind too. I think I saw a video on YouTube. They wrote like some code, and it introduced the security bug into it. So, just be careful with it.
Great advice.